Hey guys, how's it going? It's your captain, Yeehaw Yadam, and for today's video, we're going to be doing some gameplay commentary where I'm going to be playing Ace. Now, a couple things about this video that are a little interesting. This was done prior to the restriction list, so if you see a couple cards that should be restricted, don't be too surprised. And secondly, this is a very weird version of Ace where I just decided, what if I, just out of curiosity, played every single rusher in the entire game and put them in my deck because Ace has access to the Ace rusher, and what if I just played no events? So this is a very weird Ace deck. Probably not meta, but definitely very, very fun. So I'll be playing versus Luffy. My opponent won the die roll, so he opted to go first, making me go second. I'm going to be playing Curly D and adding Nami. Now, why am I playing Curly D? Well, because Curly D seems to find some of the best cards in the game, specifically Nami, Izo, my crazy one-drop 2Ks, as Makino and Otama just are broken. And then I'm playing 2Ks of each of the character type 2Ks, so Jozu and Monkey D Luffy, ones that are searchable by Nami and Izo. So my opponent also Curly D's. He whiffs here, which is kind of what we need. Thank goodness. My opponent's going to go ahead and opt to use Luffy's effect, going to 6 and hitting me for 6. For 7, which I'm certainly going to be taking. It goes back to my turn. Now I have Nico Robin, which is a really solid card in this board state, but unfortunately, if I do summon Nico Robin, it's not going to really get the value that I want. I want to go ahead and use the maximum amount of my Dawn here, and I'm going to go ahead and probably end up playing the Marshall D Teach. So Marshall D Teach comes onto the board. If my opponent is playing Jet Pistol, that would be very, very bad for me, because not only would he get to Jet Pistol and then declare an attack with Leader and Curly D for added pressure, he's going to be removing the only pressure that I've created on the board. So it goes back to my opponent's turn. He's at 5 Dawn. Let's see what he goes ahead and uses his 5 Dawn for. Again, a pistol would be devastating, but if we can escape the pistol, then we're going to be in a really solid spot. So my opponent opts to go ahead and play Marco. Marco's going to remove the Curly D, and then he's going to use his leader's ability to go ahead and become a 6K and swing at me for 6, which I most definitely defend here with a Luffy 2K. Goes back to my turn. I draw a Makino for turn. I have 6 Dawn to work with. Obviously, by removing the Curly D, he removes me from going Teach. So I'm going to go ahead and play my Nami. Nami's going to go ahead and have to look for a Straw Hat character. My only option is Nico Robin. I'm going to go ahead and stack the rest of the Whitebeard Pirates on the top. And then with the rest of my turn, I'm going to go ahead and probably play Izo, Robin, and then hit. Just is what it is. I'm going to go ahead and attack for 6. Probably not going to summon any more characters onto the board. He's going to go defend it with the Jozu that he found early on in the game. I'm going to go ahead and play Izo. Izu's going to go ahead and find me a 2K. So not bad. Going to go ahead and stack. You see, so Izo at the top and then the Whitebeards at the bottom. And then it's going to go back to my turn. I'm going to finish it off with playing a Nico Robin. So now I do have enough characters on the board where it's going to be very difficult for my opponent to go ahead and not allow me to Marshall D Teach him unless he removes them, right? So on my opponent's turn, he has 7 Dawn to work with. And 7 Dawn is the awkward Dawn amount for Luffy, right? They don't really have a crazy 7-turn play. They don't have access to Ace. They don't have access to many other cards. So this is a turn where we finally should be getting an off turn, some reprieve, if you will. So let's see what my opponent opts to do on this one. And my whole job, my whole purpose on the following turn is not only A, to remove his board, but it's also to B, apply enough pressure that probably playing the 9-drop may be just too scary for him to do. So I think he goes a little bit in the tank here. He's going to go ahead and opt to play Brook. Now Brook's going to go ahead and put 2 Dawn on Curly D. So again, very efficient card. So I'm going to go ahead and declare with just a 1K off of Nico Robin. That's too clean. I'm probably not going to be able to, to get an opportunity to develop her at any other point in the game. He's going to play his own Teach. So that's really, really solid. Use Luffy's ability to gain a Dawn here. He's going to probably go 6-7, which is really solid. So he's going to go 6 and then 7. And I'm going to go ahead and probably defend the 6 with the Jozu and then take the 7. Yep. So I'll defend that one, and then he's going to 7 me, and then unfortunately I do have to take this one. So this is very similar to like a Luffy v Luffy matchup because my deck isn't very aced up. So very interesting in general. So I'm going to go ahead back to my turn. I'm going to go ahead and 6 the Marco. He's going to let Marco go, and he's going to not use effect there, which is really good. He's down to 2 cards in hand, which is also very important to know, which allows me to just completely demolish the board. Now, why didn't I remove the Brook? Because, again, I'm trying to play around Makinos and cards that could burst me just a little bit higher than other cards can. My opponent's then going to go... I still have a lot of Dawn to work with here. I still can you know, just place my Dawn and use my Martial D Teach offensively. There's a lot that I can go ahead and do. Unfortunately, since Martial D Teach is a 6k, I couldn't pop him with like Nico Robin. Had I had a Gordon, for sure I would have Gordon removed the Teach, but it is what it is. So I'm trying to figure out exactly how much Dawn I want to go ahead and attach to my characters. And I have 6 available Dawn, which basically says we go 5-5. So I'm going to go 5 here. He's going to take. I'm going to go 5 again. Will he take or will he counter? He's going to 2k, and then I'm going to go ahead and use Teach's ability to pop the Ezo, draw a card, and go to 7k. And then he gets a Jet Pistol trigger out of life to remove the Nico Robin, which is not great for me, but it is what it is. Fortunately enough, we were able to apply a ton of pressure, right? He went from 4 life to 2 life. Most of the board, or the important cards on the board, have been removed. And unfortunately, he has one real threat, and that's the 4-drop Teach, right? He will be going to 9 Dawn here, and honestly, summoning a Whitebeard would be very devastating at this point in time, but it wouldn't really do too much, right? So he'd be able to go play Whitebeard, become 7k, and then he can go ahead and swing the 7 at the 6. I just give him a 2k, and then he goes 6 at 6, and I just give him a 1k. And he's in a really tough spot, because if he does that, then I can go ahead and then remove his board once again, and then some, you know, probably deploy a couple other cards as well. So he's going to go 5 at my Nami. I'm just not going to defend that. And then he still has a bit of Dawn to work with here, and my only defensive character is my Martial D Teach, which is interesting. If he goes for the Martial D Teach, which he can, right? If he puts a Dawn under his Teach, he goes Teach effect, pop the Brook, draw a card, 8 at 6. That's really, really solid, right? Which is very difficult for me to deal with necessarily. But we'll see how he opts to do it. He opts to just go 7k at the Teach, or I think he goes life. I'm not really sure here. He went for life, which is really good for me, because sure, I was gonna try and defend the Teach, but I wasn't gonna be able to defend like an 8 into an 8, which is something that he could have done. Then he's gonna go 7 at my leader once again. I'm just gonna give him a 2k, 1k. I do pitch the Marco, which is kind of questionable, right? Because we're on you know, towards the very, very end of the game where things can get a little dicey. But I am at 10 Dawn, which is really, really solid for me. So I'm gonna go 6 at 6. See what he opts to do. He gives me a 2k. I'm going to go 6 at 6 again. Give me another 2k if you want. He does. And then I'm going to go Shanks 10 at 6. See what he wants to do to that one. And then he opts to block with Marco, or he's deciding if he wants to, right? Because again, he has a really low hand size. If he blocks with the Marco, he might have the only Whitebeard Pirates card in hand to revive him, might be the 9-drop, which is really, really tough. Right, if he loses this Marco, then he can't use Teach's effect. So it really is a give and take. Do you want to drop your Whitebeard to be able to gain the Teach, or do you want to just lose the Marco to keep the Whitebeard in hand? So really, really depends. I don't think he was expecting the Shanksu. Very cool card, by the way. I do have a ton of counter power in my hand. If you look at my hand is like a Nami plus a billion 2Ks, which is really, really solid. He opts to block with the Marco and let it go, not revive it, because we are aware that he does have a 9-drop in his hand, right? Besides the 9-drop, he has 3 other cards. So let's see what those 3 other cards are. I mean, I think he's very forced into playing the 9-drop here. If he doesn't play the 9-drop, then he's just going to be having a very difficult time dealing with my Shanks. But he needs something that can contest this guy. If not, I do have an immortal 10k body on the board. So it's really up to him on how he wants to deal with this turn. But now he's on the back foot. I have the board tempo. I have the hand advantage. What do you really do in this game state? You got to find a way to possibly, you know, cheese a win. So the answer might be play 9-drop, Luffy effect, go to, you know, to 8, place another Dawn on Luffy, and go like 9 at the Whitebeard possibly, or the Martial D Teach, sorry. Or you might want to keep a Dawn up and go 8 at the Martial D Teach, keep a Dawn for like a Radical Beam if he has it. It's really tough to say what's in his hand at this point in time. But, you know, knowing the lists that are being played around, it's very, very common to think that he may have that Radical Beam. I also have a Teach, so I do have another card that can come down as a threat, but the rest of them are just 2Ks. He's going to opt to go big on against the Teach. He's going to go ahead and go 10 at it, and I'm just going to let it go. No point in defending that. And then he has 6 Dawn to work with here, which, again, him not dropping the 9-drop is really good for me. That means that I know exactly one of the cards in his hand is a brick, because he will not be able to cast it this turn. Unless he plays like a Marco. Marco will allow him to pitch it. But then again, we're not really too afraid of a Marco. He's going to go ahead and pay 4 for what seems to be a Marco, right? Or he's going to go ahead and 9 me. and I'm going to take the 9 because, again, I'm going to probably, opt to clear his board here, and then going to go back to my turn, and then I'm going to be able to defend as easily as possible, right? So I'm going to go 6 at the teach, see what he wants to do to that one. Again, knowing one card is a brick means that I can just hit him for bases and probably things go my way. I'm going to go 10. He's going to take the 10. I'm going to run out a Luffy. Hit for 6. Just have to hit him for base numbers. Don't have to really develop more than I need to. And I think my opponent got a little stunned at what this Luffy is. I don't think he had seen the wanted cards yet. Honestly, a gorgeous card. One of my favorite reasons to play this Luffy in my deck is just how good it looks. So we're able to rush him for 6. Let's see if he opts to take it or defend it. If he opts to take it, he's going to be in a really tough spot because on the following turn, he's going to have to go ahead and defend some really big numbers. So he opts to go ahead and Red Hawk here, and that's perfectly fine. And I'm going to go ahead and tap 4 for Marshall DT Trey. I could have also summoned Robin Nami, which would have been better. My reasoning for summoning the Teach was it doesn't have any counter power, and I want to drop all the non-counter from my hand. But Robin Nami could have led me to possibly have a lethal through like a small blocker, right? Because I do have an Otama in my hand. So if he goes Marco, I go Otama, Nico Robin, and then I have the swing with the Shanks, right? So may have been a little bit better to do that. Nami could have found me like another 2k, so she would have replaced the counter power that I would have lost. But I wanted to opt to just run out as many non-counterable as I possibly could. So I think that was my reasoning for that. So he's going to go ahead and go big. He's going to go Marco and then use Luffy's ability plus the rest of his Dawn here. And so that's going to be a total of 7 Dawn, which is going to make it a 12k attack. And I believe the 12k is going to be going at my Luffy, right? Because he needs to go and remove the card that is unblockable, right? If you want to go ahead and have a chance of winning. And I don't believe I mean, I could defend it here, but I don't think I need to, if that's funny enough. So I'm going to just let this Luffy go, right? When you hit for like really big numbers, I'd rather just keep the cards in my hand, especially when I have a hand advantage. No point in using them. And I think I draw an Otama for turn, which is really interesting, which lets me do a really cheeky lethal here. So I asked him exactly how many cards in his hand here. He opts to have, I think he has 3 cards in hand. I'm going to go ahead and use Nami to see if Nami can find me a rusher. And Nami whiffs. Nothing to find here. I'm going to go ahead and put Curly D on top of the 1-drops and the Shanks before that. And then I'm like, well, I wasted it on. Unlucky. Going to go 7 at the leader, which is going to go ahead and remove a couple cards out of his hand, right? If he has a 2k and a 1k, he's going to have to pitch them. And then here's a really cheeky lethal that you don't see every day. I do have double Otama in my hand. And I'm going to go ahead and swing for 6 just to remove another card out of his hand. He can't block, right, because he needs to block the Shanks. So he's going to give me a 2k. And then I just go double Otama and put the rest on Shanks. And Shanks becomes technically unblockable because he is below the 3k threshold. And that's going to be game. Hope you guys like this video. If you have anything that you want to say in the comment section about what some of my misplays or what I could have done better, hit me with a comment. And as always, guys, don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you want some more OP-TCG content and are thinking about joining the Yeehaw crew. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.